In this week's parsha, the epic saga of Joseph and his brothers comes to a dramatic climax with Joseph revealing himself as the viceroy of Egypt, leaving the brothers in a state of total shock. They never suspected for a moment that their tormentor was actually their long-lost brother. In fact, during the entire time that the brothers met with Joseph in Egypt, they were completely unable to recognize him for who he was. It's quite unbelievable if you consider the following. The commentaries say that Joseph looked exactly like their father Jacob. He took an excessive interest in them. He gave them provisions for free. He invited them to a special banquet. He seated them in birth order while never asking them for their ages. He was all too eager to hear tidings of their father. He used his position of power to manipulate the brothers to see his only full brother Benjamin, who they had left home the first time. We know that they even suspected that Joseph was in Egypt. The commentaries tell us that when the brothers entered the city, they were accused of being spies because they all entered through separate gates in a coordinated effort to search for Joseph. Taking all of these circumstances into account, how is it possible that not one of the brothers could see the Egyptian viceroy was in fact their brother Joseph? In 1925, the Nobel Prize for Literature was awarded for a play called Pygmalion, a compelling story of a lowly flower seller who rises up from the depths of the lower class to the heights of English nobility. In the play, the protagonist, Eliza Doolittle, is transformed from an ignorant and crass street urchin into an elegant aristocrat. She is then completely unrecognizable to the English upper class who once shunned her. When asked to comment on his epic masterpiece, playwright George Bernard Shaw said, "The moment we want to believe something, we suddenly see all the arguments for it and become blind to the arguments against it." This explains the phenomenon that was going on with Joseph and his brothers in Egypt. They could not recognize him because they were so entrenched in their myopic worldview that Joseph was inferior to them. They were so convinced that he was a vain and pompous spoiled brat who deserved what he got when they banished him to a life as a slave. They were completely incapable of seeing him in any other light. So when they came face to face with this imposing man, dressed in royal garb, wielding unsurpassed power and influence, and revered and respected by all of Egypt, their opinions of Joseph blinded them to the reality that was presented to them. In life, we often encounter concepts, cultures, or ideologies that are foreign to us. Our knee-jerk reaction to the unfamiliar and the ambiguous is to belittle, degrade, or cancel these things, especially if we perceive them to be a threat to our own security or worldview. This is especially true when we learn about a daunting component of Judaism or an intimidating precept in the Torah. Our Western upbringing sometimes prevents us from embracing the concepts of the Almighty, our prophets, and our sages. We learn from the story of Joseph and his brothers that when we allow our fears and insecurities to blind us when we encounter new ideas, we miss so much. Approaching life with an open mind is the only way to take advantage of all that it has to offer. I am Rabbi Pinchas Landis, and this is a Parsha Power Up.